Star Wars Outlaws, a completely 120% unbiased review. Surely.
A couple of weeks ago, Ubisoft invited me to play Star Wars Outlaws early. I was put up at a nice hotel and even got to check out the Star Wars side of Disneyland with some other creators, but
Isn't the Star Wars Disneyland a complete failure? Isn't it considered one of the most boring, dull, and bad experiences in Disneyland?
the real star of the show was getting to play around 4 hours of Star Wars Outlaws. And if you aren't familiar, this game's a pretty big deal, particularly for fans of this channel, as this is the first ever open world Star Wars game. And this hands-on was the
Yeah, it is a big deal, and people are absolutely already calling it quits. This game looks horrible. The IGN 10 minutes that they showed, wow, does it look horrible. The character is ugly, the story is stupid, the mechanics are dull, the shooting is trash. What a time to be alive.
perfect hands-on. I got to play the game for 4 hours, one 3-hour session, and then a final hour, but during this entire thing, I had no restrictions on what I could or couldn't do, and I even got to keep all of the gameplay footage from my play session. Yeah, this is me actually playing the game in the background, unless you see me playing really badly or missing a bunch of shots, in which case that probably isn't me. And going in
To be fair, having the ability to keep the recording, cool, but yeah, people are kind of interested in, hey, can you speak about everything? And considering you got put in such a luxurious hotel and absolutely lathered up like the piglet that you are, will you even say anything bad? Remember, this is Juicehead, one of the biggest shills possible.
into this one, I think I had a pretty unique perspective. I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars per se, but I am a massive fan of open world games. And just right off the bat, several aspects of Star Wars Outlaws completely blew me away. The game definitely didn't deliver everywhere, but if you do like open world games, or even just kind of like Star Wars, I think this will be one of those must-buy games for you, because open world Star Wars truly is an incredibly unique experience. So first,
Oh boy. 1 minute in and I'm already starting to think I should absolutely doubt everything, every single word he says. Not just everything, but every single word.
let's just talk about what open world Star Wars actually plays like. Jumping into my first 3-hour session, you are positioned pretty early into the game.
So disgustingly and pitifully ugly. Who signed off at this character design? The hell is this? McJagger the Reckoning?
Having just crashed on a planet named Toshara, you already have your blaster, some key objectives, and even get your first speeder. The overarching objective being to fix our ship, and like, yeah, even from this moment, you could just jump on your
I think this is on console, by the way, and the aim that you just saw was horrible.
speeder and start cruising around this planet. The speeder itself is a ton of fun. This very much so has that GTA effect where you can probably spend a good few hours just messing around in the open world, and yeah, I did exactly that. I was taking jumps with the speeder, finding all kinds of animal herds, or even
Wait, he just speedered into this animal, and not the speeder nor the animal are harmed. Can you just full force ram into a wall and nothing happens? Because this kind of makes me think about that kind of quality.
other NPCs using speeders of their own, and just kind of going about their day, and really just taking in some of these stunning sights of this landscape.
Literally, guy found 2 NPCs and is like, such a vibrant and open world. Look at these 2 NPCs. They have a history, family, life, loved ones, hobbies.
We will talk more about the visuals a bit later on, but I was only really exploring like this on one planet, and I still have several moments where I had to stop to just take it all in. I have to imagine this is an experience many of you will want to have on several different planets in Star Wars Outlaws. But of course, there are also some more open world.
This looks extremely dull and nothing's happening. This was, by the way, one of the biggest things that people were talking about, that this looks like an absolute red flag. It's the fact that there was a statement that you can go from one side of the planet to the other with a speeder on roughly 4 minutes or less. And while that is actually normal for most games, you need to understand, when you're playing, for example, Skyrim, that is not a problem. Because one simple reason. You're gonna run into like 50 different objects that you're gonna spend countless hours in. But in this game, are you gonna run into anything worthwhile? Like look at this. It's just emptiness. There's nothing here. There's nothing to explore. There's nothing to see. It's kind of pretty, I'll give you that, but there's nothing here.
Focused activities for you to find. Some of these will trigger as you're moving, kind of like a random encounter you can stumble upon. At one point, someone pops on dispatch mentioning stolen supplies and how an Imperial assault team is going to take them back. Lo and behold,
Oh no, this is new. I did not know about this one. This is horrible. I can already... This is literally Fallout 4, a settlement needs your help. Yeah. That's literally it. So they put absolutely no real handcrafted objects in here, except a couple of things like this that are cool for, you know, the first time you see them, and then after they're nothing. And so it's just gonna spawn like 2 or 3, maybe if we're lucky, random events that are gonna get real dull and real tiresome very fast. It's Fallout 4. A settler needs help.
an Imperial ship is landing nearby, and a full fight breaks out between them and some of the nearby pirates, and you now have a
Oh boy, doing this 15 times is gonna be great.
limited time objective to steal the supplies and likely take down the Imperials for yourself.
I won't even notice if some of those supplies go missing.
Open fire! Understood. My platoon and I were once pinned down by artillery on Yakaru.
What the hell is this sliding on dirt? That's not how sliding works.
At another point, some homesteaders were under attack from pirates, and I could cruise over to help fend off that initial attack, or even several more waves that came after. This too
Dude, the civilian HP is just shown here. Jesus. This is worse than, you know, the dungeons in Diablo 4 where you need to save people before they die. Whoa.
just seemed to be a random limited time event.
Also, look at this AI. They're just standing. They're standing in the open.
After, this too just seemed
Look at
to
this.
be a
Look at this. They're just... let's have a honorable dual blaster fight in front of each other. 10 paces, no more, no less. Is this a joke?
random limited time event to pop up. We could also find random treasure in the open world. This is funny because it does pop up on your screen, alerting to you that, hey, there's treasure nearby, go look for it. And this could be
Oh,
something as
boy.
simple as some loot in a pit to a far more hands-on mini obstacle course that have what I would consider some fantastic views at the end.
Wow. We already saw this. This is not impressing me again. Holy,
As well as even
this
just
is
some
bad.
little Imperial terminal stations. It's basically like a small guard post that you can hack to gain some credits for yourself. And even this is a pretty specific experience. I'm really only able to speak to the open world on this one planet of Toshara. But overall, I got the impression that there were a variety of open world activities that you can get while adventuring on, but then separately quest lines that will
Yeah, well, this definitely smells like Ubi slop from start to finish.
take you all over the world to specific locations. But that's to say, I wasn't really finding all that much substantial in my
I just can't. The way she just knocks him out with one single punch and how this makes sense is just... That was the saddest animation I have seen. And now he's slumped over, back broken. What the... Oh,
aimless
no.
open world exploration. Like, yeah, you'd have these cool moments when these limited time events would pop up, but Star Wars Outlaws was not like a Bethesda game where you end up with 15 miscellaneous or side quests.
You can see the NPC bugging out.
Limited
Look.
time events would pop up, but Star Wars Outlaws was not like a Bethesda
Look, so...
game where you end up with 15
Look.
miscellaneous or
That's 2 animations. One for stopping, one for actually the enemy trying to get off.
side quests. At least for me and Toshana, I really didn't get many quests by all of this exploration. I just found random things and could look at them or interact with them briefly. The open world does have territories, so you can go into specific Empire territory or even other faction-controlled areas, but this didn't really seem to have a massive impact on gameplay. Like here, for this entire clip, you've been watching me explore around a bunch of Empire territory. It wasn't that notable or different, but there are also going to be 2 other types of open areas for you to explore as well, as both space and cities have the same factor. The main city in Toshana was Mirogana Valley, and this place was quite large. Upon walking up, you have complete access to the city with restrictions. So basically you'll find that you can walk everywhere, but
So you just bump into a stormtrooper and he's like, yep, just gonna keep walking. No interactions there. Very cool. So it's worse than Assassin's Creed. Nice.
places will have things like guards. You can technically fight them to just get in, but you won't be able to survive realistically. So in effect, you're locked out of this section of the city until you get to that quest that brings you here. But other than that, the city and even the other city I explored later on during my playtest was almost fully open. You could freely wander and explore, and this was perhaps the coolest part of my hands-on experience. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan personally, but what I discovered is that Star Wars has a really cool aesthetic. Walking through this bazaar, even past some of these Imperial patrols, things just look good, but also pretty cool. You'd find NPCs
What looks cool about this? This world does not look realistic at all.
just standing around cooking, tons of robot parts splayed about, and some of the visuals on individual assets looked absolutely stunning here. These robots
There's literally nothing here.
almost look better than some of the robot CGI from the prequels. And even some of the stormtroopers, while in armor, looked absolutely phenomenal at times. More than once, I
Wow.
stopped and was just like, damn, that person looks great. There are animals just hanging out, and yes, you can pet some of the animals if you'd like to, which is a very handy feature to have. And even some more specific things.
Did the hand just go through the skull of the animal?
Things like horse racing, which you yourself can get involved in and bet on, are here too. And there was a degree of
Wow.
magic here, just getting to take a step back and watch some of these Star Wars characters go about their day and do things was incredibly enjoyable. Even for me, as a non-Star Wars fan, because I feel like the aesthetic of this franchise is just really pretty. It has a cool art style and a lot of cool designs. The details here were seriously impressive from
The only part that looks decent about this is the fact that the city seems at least populated enough.
a visual perspective, but there honestly wasn't a ton of interactivity. This isn't Red Dead Redemption, we're gonna have a bunch of miscellaneous interactions like that. Because unfortunately, after spending a
Wait. What the hell did I... What kind of... Oh my lord, this is...
actions like that.
Oh, Starfield has competition, boys, for worst facial animations. Also, I can literally see the pixels on this character, also this character. And this is on maximum... Oh, no, it's not on maximum quality, but who cares? I still can see the lines and pixels on these characters. Oof.
Because unfortunately, after spending a fairly large amount of time just looking at things, you start to realize that there isn't really a ton to find in this open world. Like yeah, it looks cool, and to see people going about their day or even finding an R2-D2-like robot just moving around is pretty awesome, but I wasn't finding many treasures or new quests in the back corners of cities, and honestly, I barely
There's probably nothing like that. I assume every single quest in this game is almost just auto-generated while you travel the world.
found anything of note when wandering around like this. Like yeah, there's some vendors that you can trade with, but other than that, it's largely just cool set dressing. And at points it is particularly cool, but most of the actual content is going to be delivered during quests. That's not to say it's nothing. You can find intel, which can lead to various quests. Sometimes even just overhearing a conversation can lead to something. But in my roughly 4 hours of gameplay, of which I spent way too much time just wandering around, I probably only found like 3 of these. The open world space aspects are more of an unknown to me. Over the course of my time on Toshana, I did
The space combat is gonna be so bad.
eventually get my ship back and working again, and even in the second play session, you do begin in space with a spaceship, but I didn't spend a ton of time with this aspect of the game. From what I could tell, ship flight was very freeform. You just fly around and maneuver freely, and there was some serious potential here. This is the #1 thing I want to know
There is probably as much potential here as in Starfield.
more about right now. How freely can you just explore space and actually go to different planets to find things? And one thing Star Wars Outlaws gets right is planet entry. This is
It looks like you can't bump into anything.
exactly what Starfield needed. Basically, as you approach a planet, you'll have the option to land.
I have talked about this. Listen, this is not what Starfield needed. This is literally a copy-paste from Starfield. See, the problem here is... Well, actually, let's see if he shows it.
And it'll transition to a hidden load screen. So right here during this, I can fully control my ship, roll it around, go up and down, but there isn't actually anything to do. I'm on a fixed on-rail path. I can just move
Yes. Yes, exactly. This is boring. This might as well be honestly a Starfield loading screen. Probably honestly faster.
Move my ship around the screen if I want to. In the background, the
This is you're gonna instantaneously understand this is just a boring, stupid, and long, drawn out loading screen the second time you enter a planet.
planet is loading. It's basically like giving your brother the disconnected controller and letting them play. But just like your brother, I think I'm doing something, so it felt fun, but in reality it's just a hidden load screen and a transition to the
And there we go. Now there's the animation for docking, which is another load screen, I'm pretty sure. Or they were actually stupid enough to give you an animation for docking after the load screen. This is arguably, in ways, worse than Starfield, in ways better than Starfield, because it's not at least a loading screen per se, but you know, it is a loading screen. But the animation, Jesus.
this cutscene where you actually see yourself landing. I am very well versed with the Starfield landing loads at this point, but this version from Star Wars Outlaws is a million times better. It probably doesn't feel that
Wow.
way watching it on camera because you can't actually
It does, it's not better. It's still a stupid loading screen.
feel it, but having played through this a few times during my play session, I found this far more enjoyable compared to what we have as Starfield, although obviously not quite as good as what you have in No Man's Sky. And overall, when it came to the open world, this seems like it was laid out fairly similarly to other Ubisoft games. They give you access to the open world pretty early on, but there's a fair amount you can't do without progressing the story. For example, sometimes you'd need some blaster attachment to get through a certain area, or these guards will just shoot you on sight and are too high of a level for you to get past them. But overall, I really liked this. I didn't encounter any invisible barriers, but instead, I was shown why I can't do something just yet. And it did make the overall
What do you mean, why you can't do something just yet? Because the gods are too high of a level and they just kill you? That's not a good excuse.
exploration feel a lot more enjoyable because this open world does feel very open, even if there wasn't necessarily a ton to find. The bulk of your actual gameplay in Star Wars Outlaws will be around questing. The story takes place in between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which likely means a lot more to many of you than it does to me. You play as this character Kay, who is basically Han Solo but different, and you even have your
It was basically a rip-off Han Solo, but extremely ugly, uncharismatic, and she has a little baby Grogu Yoda, because of course she does, and then she's powerful enough to instantaneously break someone's spine with a single punch to the face. That is the most poorly animated crap that you have ever seen in Star Wars production ever.
your trusty companion with Nyx. Nyx is actually voiced by
Your story literally makes absolutely no sense. You're a nobody that needs to be free, but what does freedom mean? I have no idea. You're in the Outer Rim, just go somewhere, asshole. That's it. You need to steal from the guy who put the bounty on you, because surely stealing from him is gonna make the bounty disappear.
the same person to voice Commander Cody, as well as many other characters, so fun fact. And the real crux of the story in Star Wars Outlaws are around crime syndicates. There are several crime syndicates, and from what I can tell, these will act as the backbone of questing, and will seemingly be one of your major
Oh wow, did you see that? They killed someone off screen. Wow, what a crime Wow, guys, best game of the year.
choices that consistently comes up as you play through the game. They're effectively the different factions in the game, and some of the ones I encountered are people like the Hutts, Pike, or even the Crimson Dawn. So oftentimes, as you're doing a quest, it'll involve one syndicate or another, but you'll also have choices that can benefit one syndicate.
Wow, a static choice that can benefit one syndicate and not the other? Oh! Wow! A completely 2002 reputation system. I'm so sold.
Or another. So you go through this quest, get a valuable piece of information, and you'll have the option to share it with the Hutts or Crimson Dawn. Whoever you choose will get a reputation increase as you're standing with
What a choice! And that leads to absolutely nothing else. Wow. Someone just dislikes you more and someone likes you more. Wow.
them evolves, and whoever you don't choose may have no change to reputation or even have their reputation go down, as you may now be hurting them with that information. And reputation does matter, because this will allow you to unlock new things, such as blaster
By
parts.
the way, the reputation completely makes not even a single lick of goddamn sense. You know why? Because, okay, let's imagine you're a crime syndicate. and someone now does something that hurts you. What do? Kill them or, forgive them? Yeah, this situation makes no sense.
Parts or other valuables for your character. There's actually a whole array of upgrades you can apply to K, although I really didn't dive all that deeply into it. So
God damn, what the hell am I even looking at? Yeah, there's no way this is real.
over time, you'll likely develop feelings and start
Is that...
partnering with one syndicate more than some of the others. Now, right off the bat, the game introduces you into this idea that there will be a constant ebb and flow here. You will constantly be angering one syndicate or another while playing. At least it seems like most players will play that way. And you can see this made very clear in game. It really seems like this flow of choices and who you help will be a major aspect of the experience and really your decision making. It kind of felt like at the end or at some point during almost every major quest, you'll have some big decision to make around the syndicates and how you're going to impact them. And as far as the story quality,
I don't believe it. If there's any big decision to be made about the syndicates, this just makes no sense. The fact that you can be in, a bad standing, but that syndicate still it can become friendly to you, it's just so dumb. Okay, listen, there's no permanent consequence. That's what you're telling me. That, a syndicate hating you is not gonna, one, change the story, two, even gonna change too much of your gameplay. It's just dull.
it was honestly hard to tell. The quests were fun and interesting, particularly this one where you're escaping an Empire ship I found to be a really enjoyable quest. But thus far in the story, I felt pretty neutral. It was interesting enough, but I wasn't absolutely hooked after a few hours with this story. It definitely felt like one of those games where it'd be carried by the open world gameplay as opposed to an award-winning story, at least based off my limited experience thus far. There is this lockpicking minigame which people will have strong opinions on. You basically have to hit the trigger as this sound is played.
Dude, the graphic is so bad.
So it's a game of timing based off an audio cue. You have to get the timing just right, basically like playing Guitar Hero to open this lock. I found this really frustrating at first, partially because I sucked at it, and I have to imagine many gamers out there will hate this because they're bad. But once you do get the lockpicking down, it feels absolutely amazing. Like just rolling up and getting the lock open first try makes you feel so good. And by the end of my play session, I found this to be one of the most satisfying lockpicking minigames I've pretty much ever experienced in a video game. Although thankfully, there is a menu option to just disable this, so if you never want to deal with the lockpicking minigame, you don't have to from day one. But also,
by the way, she takes the lockpick and puts her in her man bun, so that's super cool and innovative, and wow, please tell me more.
How you approach quests does have a bit of flexibility. And this part of the game honestly reminded me a bit of Cyberpunk 2077, where you have this general go stealthy or go loud approach to the various quests. A fair amount of the game
Exactly. Just knock him out, Kate. Just woman power him.
gameplay was sneaking into syndicate bases to steal something, and you would be faced with several different ways to enter. It's not like there's one path and no other options, but instead you actually have, okay, you can jump through this air duct or try and distract these guards and sneak around them. Star Wars Outlaws definitely had a quest focus. Some quests required stealth outright, but in general, many quests pushed you towards stealth or even non-direct combat, so you'd be able to take down enemies from afar or without other enemies noticing. But one of the nice parts was it definitely felt like there was multiple avenues even if you decide to go the stealth route. It's not like you were just limited.
All of this is so cringe. Anyway, let's move to the combat. Oh, Jesus.
Amount of credits. But then we also do have the combat of Star Wars Outlaws. And this was a pretty unique aspect of this game, because Star
It's not unique, it's generic cover shooting, and not even the fun kind it seems like currently.
Wars Outlaws combat almost feels like it's just one-handed. You get this blaster, and this is your main weapon for the entire game, but over time...
Dude, again, with that stupid rat just... going at someone's face, and then they're just like flailing their arms like this and being like, get this rat off me because I have no hands. Can't touch the rat, which is right there on my face. Can't take my blaster and pop its ass. No, you can't do any of that. This is so dumb.
time, and even via some quests or siding
Also, the fact that you're probably shooting your stupid rat yourself is hilarious.
with certain syndicates, you can upgrade your blaster to have more functionality. So in my second gameplay session, my blaster had a
By
second
the way, there's no skill trees, there's nothing like that. It's just like, hey, find a Java in a sand dune or something like that, and there you go. You get an upgraded turret for your ship. Exciting. So, what is exactly the reward for playing? I don't actually know. It's just finding random upgrades. There's no levels. The reward for playing this game seems so minimal. There's so little to look forward to. It almost seems like the developers were smart enough to figure out, well, we don't really have an open world, so let's just not put anything interesting in the game. So the only thing that people want to do is finish the main storyline. So that way we can, hopefully they forget that there's supposed to be a game. That's kind of seems like it.
secondary stun feature in addition to its primary fire. I could switch between those two fire types. The stun feature was better against robots as well as people using shields. But there's also several other functions here. You can use a Deadeye mode to take down several enemies.
Wow.
There we go.
A guaranteed stun shot that does have a longer cooldown, and seemingly more things will unlock as you progress. But also Nyx is a major part of this. Nyx can fetch stuff for you, but far more impactful. Nyx can also attack.
What the hell is this? So this guy's on guard, just magically, randomly waving his blaster around, and these two guys are... Oh, Rick's hallucinating again. Oh, he's gonna go fight the demons! And they're fine with this? This is the most dead open world and lowest AI I have ever seen in a game.
And distract enemies. The combat here is pretty interesting. The time to kill in Star Wars Outlaws is pretty low, so both you as well as other enemies will die in just a few shots, and I personally enjoyed that aspect of things. Combat had consequences.
You are not dying in a few shots.
And yeah, at points you could avoid stealth or ignore the stealth aspects altogether, but it definitely felt like that made the game
Bro, these stormtroopers are really stormtroopers.
harder than just being a bit more patient in stealth. Taking
Get hit by a laser. Only your chest moves? What the hell was this? Let's look at that again.
altogether, but it definitely felt like that made the game harder than just
Okay.
being a bit more patient.
Oh my god! So the developers, Ubisoft, had enough foresight to understand, wait a minute, we actually need impact when you shoot something, because it's a laser. Obviously, it's gonna be hitting you like a ton of bricks or whatever, so we need impact. So their impact idea was, okay, if they get shot in the stomach, let the stomach move and no other part of the body. Holy, this is stupid.
In stealth. Taking down enemies a lot of times with the Empire in particular, they can drop their rifles and you can pick those up, or perhaps even
What a stormtrooper.
pick up heavier weapons that can be dropped.
Dude, they're not even shooting her. You'd think they would sound an alarm or something, but I guess no. Shooting seems so bad.
And you'll basically be able to use that weapon until it runs out of ammo, then you have to switch back to your regular blaster. And since the time to kill is so low in this game, getting something that's fully auto makes you feel way more powerful. These pickup weapons felt amazing, and genuinely like a huge power
Well,
surge
at least there's an alarm here.
for your character, which led to a lot of fun.
Also, wait. What the hell was that just now?
Surge
So, you're telling me Val gets shot by a blaster and the hole is not even round? Okay.
for your character, which led to a lot of fun.
I'm not even surprised. Anyway, that was Juice. 10 out of 10. At least that boy got paid. Anyway, this was Chris Said. God, this is a horrible game. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.